All right, team, I hope we're all doing well. So I've decided to try and resurrect Coach's Corner. I thought the best place to start would be to look back to last year, all right, January of last year, and I thought I'll have a look at what some of the most popular kind of Coach's Corners were that generated the most discussion, all right. And one of the ones that came up with that was this sickness, wellness, fitness continuum, all right. So this falls under CrossFit's What is Fitness, and one of the ways that they measure an athlete's overall fitness levels, all right. Now this one in particular looks more at health, okay, and some of these health markers that we'll come on to in a second. All right, so sickness, wellness, fitness, and what we're looking at is taking all of these health markers. This list is infinite, okay? Anything you could mark health-wise, you could put somewhere onto sickness, wellness, fitness. And as a program for CrossFit, we are looking to move as many of these health markers as we possibly can along this continuum towards the fitness level. Now, we may not always get there, but what we're looking to do is try and move as many of them towards there as possible, or be on the journey to doing so, okay? So this is more than just physical fitness. This isn't looking at Fran times, how many muscle ups you can do, how fast your 500 meter row is, how many times can you do a 600 meter block run, all right? This is more looking at the things that are going on inside, also mental health, but health markers. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take all of these health markers and we can plot them somewhere onto this line. So maybe you know that your body fat percentage is somewhere around, let's say 25 to 30%. That probably brings us from wellness towards this way down the line, all right? And if we were to lower that, it brings us more towards the fitness level. Same with all of these, we could plot them somewhere on a line and give ourselves a good overall picture of where we sit in this continuum. Now, interesting one for me, cholesterol-wise, when I first joined CrossFit 5-6 years ago, I had my blood taken just for family reasons, and my cholesterol was actually a little bit high. I was about 5.3, 5.4 total cholesterol, which probably brought me down into this kind of range in the continuum here. Now, I've had my blood taken again. Now, I'm not suggesting you all just run out and get blood tests and start checking all this stuff here, but now my cholesterol sits more in the kind of normal range. I'm still probably not down at the fitness range, but I'm certainly moving past wellness and into fitness now, all right? So just cool to see that focusing on nutrition, doing CrossFit, has allowed some of my health markers to move here, all right? And we're all on this journey, all right? And this takes time. It's not the sort of thing that happens overnight. It's years, okay? And we're just trying to get as many of them down there as possible. Now, the why, okay? Obviously, some of these are quite self-explanatory, but one of the things we looked at in the post the last time was putting money in the bank, all right? And what does that mean? So if we put money in the bank or health into the bank, what we're essentially doing is protecting ourselves against chronic diseases or life happening, okay? Now, obviously, chronic diseases in life happen. They always happen. And what we're hoping is the more of these markers we can move through this continuum towards fitness, the more of protection we get or the longer we can stave off those kind of things. So best example I can do for this, let's imagine we've got someone who is super fit, they're all towards the fitness side of things, they're down at this end somewhere, all right? And we've got someone who maybe is a bit newer in the journey, maybe doesn't do CrossFit yet, and put them somewhere in this sickness to wellness range here. And then we say to them, right, let's track you over 6 months to a year, all right? You're not gonna train, life got in the way, something happened, your nutrition hasn't been great and all that kind of thing. The person who is down at fitness, because they're not immune to these things deteriorating, will start to slowly but surely make their way through here, up into wellness, and eventually, depending on how long we gave them, would fall down into sickness. But that time would be quite well, because they'd have to come through wellness first, down into sickness. Now, if we take the person who maybe doesn't train, doesn't focus on nutrition already, and they're plotting here, gave them the same time frame, same parameters, and they started to deteriorate, they're going to come down into this sickness, disease, injury, poor health a lot quicker than the person who started out down here. So hopefully that makes sense in terms of putting money in the bank, putting health into the bank to kind of protect these things in case things happen, because they ultimately will, and we just want to try and be down here as much as we can. So hopefully that makes some sense, and hopefully you found it useful to maybe hear this or see it on the board a little bit more, and maybe wanted to hear my voice a little bit more than you do in class already. So I'm going to do more of these. So if there's anything you want me to cover that we've not covered already, make sure and chuck it down in the comments. Anything CrossFit, lifting, gymnastics, anything related, drop it in the comments. We can certainly do a video on it. I'm definitely going to have a little look at the energy systems one. That was one that sparked a lot of conversation, looking at the 3 energy systems and how they can affect class and how we have to dive into all of them. So we'll definitely look at that one, but hopefully that helped you understand the sickness, wellness, fitness. I would say I did this in one take, but I didn't, because I filmed it the wrong way around the first time and then I messed up the second time, but this was in one take, so that's a win. Hopefully that helped. See you at the whiteboard soon.